Chivalry is not dead. Looking back at a history of 900 years, the Order of the Holy Sepulchre is one of the oldest Catholic papal orders of knighthood. Just before Christmas, a central moment of the life of the order took place in Rome, the investiture of new members. Among them, none other than EWTN's Joan Lewis, known to viewers from her blog Joan's Rome, her radio show Vatican Insider, and as a recurring guest at Home with Jim and Joy. In a so-called Mass of Investiture, Joan and 43 other knights and ladies were received into the order.
That was extraordinary. It was extraordinarily moving because of the liturgy. Also, hundreds of years ago, this particular ritual began. So it's not something just invented a few years ago or perfected in 2014. It goes back hundreds of years. And it's a beautiful ceremony. There were 37 men and 8 women. And what we do, there's a prayer vigil beforehand. And that's where we make vows and a profession of faith. But the Mass itself, where you go up, you stand with your cape over your arm, and the women have their white gloves and their veil on the cape because we all wear the same. It's a black cape with a red cross on a shoulder, and then the men have white capes and a red cross on the shoulder. And we process up, we give our capes to someone, we then kneel and receive our main decoration from the bishop. In this case, in my case, it was a bishop. Then you move to the side where a person has your cape. You turn around, they put the cape on your shoulder. And I have to tell you, for me, the entire thing, by the way, they also gave us a beautiful book of the Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles. It was like really taking religious vows.
The Order of the Holy Sepulchre has as its principal mission the practice of Christian life by its members in fidelity to the Pope, to assist the religious, spiritual, charitable and social works and rites of the Church in the Holy Land, particularly of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem.
Our primary mission, there's 30,000 of us in 38 different countries, and our primary mission, we're all focused on the Holy Land. So what we do, we support the building of schools, the building of hospitals, maybe maternity hospitals. There's a lot we do to support the existing Christian structures and to protect holy places, the Holy Sepulchre, other shrines, and so forth. So that is our main goal. We're in all these different countries, but we're all focused on the Holy Land.
Lady Joan has been active for quite a while already.
Well, hello, it's Janet Morana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. And I hope you enjoyed that little video clip I just showed you, because that is my very, very special guest today. She's a dear friend of mine and Father Pavone's. I've known her for many, many years. And she, what can I say? She has been in Rome for decades, working so hard for EWTN. And she's going to take us back and tell us a little bit about that. And of course, we want to take your questions. You have questions for my special guest. We want to hear from you. So now I'm going to welcome to our show my dear friend, Joan Lewis, all the way from Rome, Joan.
Oh, Janet, I can't tell you what that meant to see that video and relive that. One of the most amazing moments in my life, certainly spiritually, certainly personally, just to go back to that special moment, and that coverage was such a joy. Oh my God.
Right. Well, I went searching around to find that, and I found it, so I have to show this. So now, Joan, tell our viewers, how long what brought you to Rome as a young girl? I mean, you've been there for how many years now?
I have 41, yeah.
41. Okay. So how did you get your first job in the Vatican? What was that like?
Well, I had fallen in love with Rome when I was a student in Switzerland, my junior year in college. And we did a lot of traveling during that year. I just fell in love with Italy for reasons that I'd need a book to tell you. But I was determined someday to come back and live here and work here. I didn't know what I'd be doing. But anyway, I ended up in journalism, and I ended up covering the Vatican as a freelance journalist because the Church, Rome, the Vatican was a topic I knew well. And I was helping out people like the bureau chief of the New York Times get to know the Vatican. Anyway, I was here for a number of years, had to go back to America for a while, came back in May of 1990 on vacation, went to the press office to see all my former friends and colleagues, and found a gentleman interviewed me, and he worked for the Vatican Information Service, a new office founded by Pope St. John Paul. And he asked me if I'd like to work for them. So the next thing you know, I was back in America packing my bags, coming here in August of 1990, and the famous expression, the rest is history. So
the rest is history. That's right. So now you work then, of course, closely now with, of course, Pope St. John Paul II, Pope Benedict, and of course now Francis. But there's some cute stories. First of all, and then you went from that position, then eventually working for EWTN. What year did you start working for EWTN?
In 2005. And
Okay.
so I kind of graduated, if you will, from the Vatican Information Service, but I still had a show on Vatican Radio. I had a show called Joan Knows, which that ended because of changes that Pope Francis made in communications. That show ended in 2017. So I had been at Vatican Radio 20 years. And then, and actually it was during the death and the funeral of John Paul that EWTN came to Rome. They were going to have a 1-hour nightly TV program coming live from the Vatican. And I was their person to go to because I was still working at the Vatican at the time. So in the morning, I was doing all the papal news. Everything that came out in that time that was in English came from my computer. So I, for example, had typed translated the Pope's last will and testament. Whatever came out in the morning, I brought in the evening to the EWTN show. And the only night I wasn't there was the night that Benedict was elected and in the conclave. I obviously had to be in my office in the Vatican that night. So, and then it was several months after that that I kind of retired from the Vatican, and EWTN wanted a Rome bureau chief. Mother Angelica, back in 1978, had sent 2 nuns to Rome to pray and work. Was this the time? She really wanted to create this television and radio network and offer it to the Vatican. So 78, we weren't quite ready. 81, the network was born, and 2005, we came to Rome. So
that's right. And so now, Joan, you have some very cute stories. Chocolate chip cookies and one of the popes. Tell the story how you baked chocolate chip cookies and which pope that was for.
Well, I read one time this amazing pontiff, John Paul, this first pope from the first non-Italian pope. He just was loved by everyone. Stories every single day from the Vatican about this unusual, wonderful, talented, popular, multilingual man. And one day I read a story, and it said he loved chocolate, and I'm a chocoholic, so I thought, well, maybe he'd like brownies and chocolate chip cookies. So I made about 2 dozen brownies and maybe 3 dozen chocolate chip cookies, and I called his secretary, and I said, I had something for the Holy Father, and I said, I didn't tell him what it was, and I said, I think you'll enjoy this as well, Monsignor. And so anyway, he, can you come at 5 o'clock tonight? So I wrapped everything up and
you went.
and off I went. And I mean, of course, the cookies, I didn't make 5 dozen things just for the Pope, although I hear he would have eaten them. But it was for the nuns and the others in the papal household. And so I got a thank you note from Monsignor Živitz, now Cardinal, shortly after that. And I thought to myself, well, if the Holy Father likes them, why don't I just keep on making them? So, I mean, it wasn't like the first Friday of the month or anything that I was making cookies. But anyway, that was one of my favorite things to do. And so I'm still working on my book. It's a labor of love. I'm doing a book about John Paul's humor and his humanity, and it's called I Made Cookies. Nice. I made cookies for a saint. So,
that's right. You did make cookies for a saint. And then you have another quick story you could tell about Pope Benedict, emeritus now, and a chalice is a story about, and you got to go back where the Holy Father is for a special, you have to tell us about that.
Well, I inherited a chalice that my grandparents had given many years earlier to a priest in Chicago, and he died very young. The chalice went back to my grandparents, then to my parents, and to me. And I had a dream all this time that I knew I'd get a chalice. I had a dream. I wanted to give it to a seminarian from Chicago and basically do what my grandparents had done. Now, they sent him through the seminary. I can't do that. But anyway, so I was spending a long time meeting, young men. Anyway, I finally found a young man from Chicago. He will be ordained a priest in May. He has the chalice in his hands, Ryan Brady. But in the meantime, I was showing the chalice to my brother. He said, Joan, I've seen this all. This was when my mom died. I've seen this for years, but what's the story? So I told him the whole story, and I turned the chalice over because on the lip of the chalice was written my grandparents' name, given to Father Leo Raphael Tui on his ordination day. And the ordination day was April 16, 1927, the very day that Joseph Ratzinger, Benedict, of course, was born. So now,
Oh, wow.
It's right on the chalice. So I wrote up the whole story, and I even had pictures of the chalice and the dates, and I sent that to Monsignor Ganschwein, his secretary all these years now. And and I said, this is my dream. I didn't mention anything about me being at a mass. I simply said, could the Holy Father look at this chalice? Could he say mass with it one day? And I told the whole story of how this was going to the seminarian. Well, I'm invited to mass. It was October 19th, 2013, 7:30 mass in the morning. And I hadn't really, intended for me to be invited. That was not even on my radar. Anyway, so after mass, the Pope, I couldn't see Benedict raise the host, but I did see him raise the chalice. And there was the Pope and the Archbishop and the consecrated women who care for the Pope and myself. It was like amazing. And Benedict and I Janet, we talked for like 5 or 6 minutes after mass. But the historical moment of the day came 4 hours later. I met Pope Francis. So how many people on this earth, on this planet,
2 popes in one day?
In one day, exactly. Just
oh boy, Joan.
No,
anyway,
yeah.
People want to know though, because you're there in Rome. So Pope Benedict, we hear some stories here in America that his health is really failing. Please pray for Pope Benedict. What are you hearing over in Rome? How is he right now?
Well, we haven't heard any official news bulletins or anything like that, but I think those of us who love the Pope, who knew his papacy and who miss him, we pray for him every day. We saw how frail he looked when he went to see his brother who died several months ago, died in August. How frail he looked when he came back and had a skin problem, which has gone away and everything else. So, but he's 93. You just hope and pray every day that the Lord holds him in the palm of his hand, and when he needs to get about, he gets about. I know he's if he goes in the Vatican Gardens, he's has a wheeled chair or an electric little cart, like a golf cart. So
yeah,
all we can do is pray and hope. Yeah.
Okay, and then a lot of people are asking this some questions here about Italy right now with the pandemic. What can you tell us? Because, like, for example, can you fly to America now if you wanted to come to visit? Because I don't think we can come. We're not allowed to come there yet. And
no.
Are you opened up, or are they shutting you back down again?
They're shutting us back down, but not a total lockdown. What they've done in Italy, they've closed things like gyms, theaters, cinemas, etc. And then as of Monday, and this was our third restrictive piece of news in 2 weeks that we got from the Prime Minister. On Monday, anybody in the hospitality, food business. So Your bars, cafes, gelaterias, restaurants, everything has to close at 6, which is just insane. Because I mean, first of all, that eliminates dinner. Nobody goes to dinner here
No,
at
no
4.
Chenna, no Chenna at 6.
Oh, I mean, Janet, people at 6 o'clock in Rome, you're going out normally for ice cream, you're an aperitivo, a coffee, you're taking your nightly stroll. Well, that's all off the menu now. So apparently restaurants can stay open till like 8 or 9. That's if you order something from them and then, go and pick it up. But you can't sit at a table outside and eat it. You'd have to come home. So for traveling, though, I the airlines canceled my October 26th reservation to the States, and it was from Rome to Chicago. But and so I've reserved now, God willing, for December, because I'm leaving a country where the numbers of COVID people are high to go to a country where they're even higher. And that doesn't sound like a good idea to me, right now. But all the things that came out yesterday, Janet, implied, and you can find this all on English news stories about the new restrictions, they implied that it might be difficult, even if you do live here, your residency, whatever, that it might be difficult to get back into Italy if you go.
Really?
They were talking about maybe, I don't know what word to use, like limiting travel within the European Union, because apparently France and Germany are far worse than we are. And
Right.
in Italy, the worst part is still in the north, Lombardia and Piedmont and everything. But they talked about how difficult it might be for anybody who would be traveling, coming back to Italy from outside of Europe. So at this point, I think I'm safe. I don't
And you're going
have
to
a
stay
lot.
put for a while, right?
Yeah,
You're going to
I
stay
am.
put in Italy for a while.
And my
And
mask,
you know,
I have.
I have to tell our viewers, I was scheduled to come to Rome for your 80th birthday celebration, right?
I know.
And we had all these great plans to go to our favorite restaurant by Piazza Navona. So I have to tell you, Joan, when travel opens up, I'm coming to Italy and we're going to celebrate your 80th birthday a little late. It might be by your 81st birthday, but we will celebrate your birthday.
Janet, my mom carried me for 9 months. I'm celebrating for at least 9 months.
Good girl.
and then some. Yeah. I'll be 80 next year as well.
All right, we're getting a lot of questions right now, of course, you can imagine, from the Americans here, viewers. And what they want to know is, and you don't have to say too much, but last week we had the big explosion about what Pope Francis said.
Right.
Here, of course, in America, all the liberals went crazy, and the headlines all said that the Holy Father has now, both the Catholic Church finally got it right. They've approved of civil unions and gay marriage. Look at that. Hallelujah. And so and I'm telling you, priests and others were like cheering, the liberal side of the church here. And of course, people who are true to the magisterial teachings are being scandalized. They're outraged. So what's going on there in Rome, and what can you say as someone who's been so close to so many popes and studying Vatican documents? You're like a scholar. What briefly advice can you give the Americans here who are going, Mamma mia, what's going on here? Just something.
Well, the first thing I did in the very first time I reported on the Pope's comments, they came. What the world is, shaking about is 20 seconds of audio in an hour plus documentary called Francesco, which ended up being these 20 seconds that sounded like the media made it sound like what you've just been saying, Pope approves gay marriage. What it ended up being was 3 or 4 things that the Pope said at different times that were spliced and edited together. He gave an interview last year to a very well-respected Valentina Alazraqui, a very well-respected and loved Mexican journalist. And so you see part of his face as he's talking. Then all of a sudden you see a video of the papal chapel at the Santa Marta residence. Then you go back to the Pope. Well, I started listening to the video and I thought, I think when you're in this business and you're in audio, I just said to myself, this is not a seamless garment. And so I listened to it quite a number of times. And then I realized that things had been sewn together to create this narrative. So it was the documentary people who put this together. Now, first of all, to everyone, the Pope has not changed church teaching with what he said. These were his reflections, his opinions, his ideas. If someone with a homosexual tendency, if they have in the family, they have a right to be part of that family, to have their parents, their siblings, hopefully love them and care for them. And so those were his feelings, but church doctrine, doctrine says, because it's a 2003 pronouncement document from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, and it's very clear that while all due respect must be given to people with homosexual tendencies, in no way can homosexual actions be approved, nor can any kind of a union be approved. That is still the church teaching today. 2003 Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. So I think that the headlines that have gone out are unfortunate only because that's what people are going to remember. They're probably not going to see Joan and many other people's follow-up on this question, which clarifies how this document was put together from different interviews given to this Mexican journalist. I mean, anybody who's doing their job well will say church teaching still stands. So, and the fact that we must love and respect and persons with these tendencies, then that still stands as well. So, just to clarify things, the doctrine, the teaching still stands.
And you know what it is, Joan, here in the United States, as you know, we have that beautiful ministry called Courage, which helps people with that homosexual tendency to live in that way, but in a celibate way. Right. And they even have a part of that ministry called Encourage for the parents. Because, I think what happened, I think this is what the Holy Father was referring to. Decades ago, when homosexuality was first exploding, like as they say, people coming out of the closet, there were very probably good Catholic parents that threw their kids out of the house, right? Mm-hmm. Who shunned them. There was this shunning attitude way back. I would say, maybe in the 70s and 80s. And I think what the Holy Father was saying here, like, no, we don't shun these people. No. They're part of our family. They deserve our love. Right. When a child comes out to a parent to say, I'm a homosexual, well, the first reaction is not, get out of here. No, the first reaction should be, well, I still love you. I love you. Mm-hmm. Teresa Tomeo and we covered this subject on the Catholic View for Women on EWTN quite a few times. But I'm so glad you commented on this, Joan, because here in the States, it's almost like, there's been like this craziness of, see, the Catholic Church, now they're going to start knocking on the doors of rectory, trying to book same-sex weddings. And that's not going to happen, right? No, never. Right?
No, they're not.
As they say in Italian, wait, let me do my little bit of Italian. As they say in Italian, mai. Never, right?
Yeah, exactly. One word, never. But Janet, I think something we have to consider, and this is frankly a phrase I love to use a lot. It seems to impact people. I think when we think about the media, the liberal media in our country, the media wants to form us in their image and likeness, forgetting we know in whose image and likeness we're formed. And if anybody listening to us tonight or seeing this in replay wants to use that sentence, you don't even have to use my name. Just, we know in whose image and likeness we are created. We know what we believe. We know what we have to believe.
That's right.
And that's going to get us through. It won't make a lot of people happy, but then they need time to reflect. If they totally want to reject it outright, if they're Catholic and reject it, if they're not Catholic, they don't even have to accept it. But
right.
But that is our teaching.
All right, we're going to change. We only have a few minutes left, but we're going to change the topic real quick. We have a question from Soledad Sanchez, and she writes, I have to put my glasses on, Joan. I just had a discussion with a couple of liberals who claim it is possible to be Catholic and pro-choice. Oh, Mamma Mia, too. Is it possible, Joan? That's another one, right?
If your
My,
definition,
never,
yeah, I-
never.
if your definition of pro-choice is what? The choice is I'm either going to accept life and keep it, or I'm not. So
Right.
if you're pro-life, then you're pro-life. To me, pro-choice means those people want the choice of being able to kill an unborn child. And so I say, if you say you're pro-choice and that means you have the choice to kill, of course you can't be Catholic and say that. You can be
That's
Catholic and say it, but you're no longer a practicing Catholic as far as I'm concerned. Or you say
That's
you're practicing, but when you run away from the dogma, when you deny the dogma, Janet,
No.
you're just,
And you know
yeah,
what it is, Joan? When people who say, yes, I'm Catholic, but I believe in abortion, and I'm Catholic and I think it's okay to kill babies, okay? What you have to say is, you know what? You're putting your own soul in jeopardy.
yeah,
And then all the other people who you try to take down that road with you, then you're going to be held responsible to the Lord Jesus Christ one day for those souls that you're leading
exactly,
astray. Isn't that correct? I mean,
exactly.
this is a dogma. Thou shalt not kill the unborn child. When Roe v. Wade was decided, we didn't even have ultrasound back then. And they even said in the document, well, because we don't know. Well, hello, we do know
We
now.
know,
You
we
see
do
that
know,
baby.
sure,
And
yeah,
if you destroy a child through abortion, then that is a grave sin on your soul until you're brought to the mercy of the Lord, as we know with Rachel's Vineyard and all these great ministries. There's no such thing as an unforgivable sin when you've committed an abortion. We are here with Rachel's Vineyard and other ways to bring you back to the church. But there's no way you can stand up and say, I'm a good, faithful, practicing Catholic, and I think it's okay to support baby killing. Sorry,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
The
exactly.
teachings are clear, right, Joan?
It couldn't be clearer than that. You really don't need a lot of words to be clear
To
about
describe it.
killing. Yeah, right.
All right. Well, we only have a few moments left, but I just want you to tell our listeners what are the best ways. I know you have all kinds of ways of getting a hold of you. You have blogs and emails. So just give us a few of those, because I know this audience, they want to, if they haven't connected already, I know they want to connect with you. So just tell us, what are the best ways?
Well, I welcome every one of them. And of course, you have a picture on the screen. I'm seeing a picture of my blog, Joan's Rome. You can
Right.
Google Joan's Rome. So you'll get my blog. And by the way, you'll get my 70 videos that I've done on Rome and in Assisi. And then I have a weekend radio show called Vatican Insider. Again, if you Google that, you'll be put right in touch with EWTN. I have a Facebook page too. A lot of times it's reposting my blog. A lot of times it's other fun things. And the Facebook page is, if you look for Joan's Rome, you will also find Facebook. So, and my email, most people write me at joanknows@gmail.com. So,
And someone wants to know how to connect with me. Well, again, it's Janet Marana is my fan page, so just go there. And of course, Joan, like myself, we always answer everyone's emails. You're amazing,
yeah,
Joan. I mean, you answer.
yeah.
This lady answers everyone's emails. You're amazing. You are. And what can I say? But I can't wait till once again I can come back and go to all our favorite restaurants. And are they all surviving? Are all our friends, the restaurants like La
Well,
Victoria, are they doing all right?
yeah, they were coming back because when restaurants opened on May 18th, reopened on May 18th, people were reluctant to go out. There was so much fear created about your being
Right.
next to another
Yeah.
person. But bit by bit, people knew, La Vittoria. For a long time, it was all of us who were the regulars, but that's a good number of regulars. Oh, but Janet, you know who can't go for a while to La Vittoria? The Swiss
Oh,
Guards. The Swiss Guards, they go all the time to La Victoria, but they have a number of cases of COVID. So,
oh boy.
yeah, obviously they're all going to be,
Quarantine.
quarantined,
Yeah.
yeah, and everything
Quarantine.
else. But I
And one
mean,
final thing, Joan, you're in Rome, but you're a US citizen. Did you vote?
oh yes, weeks ago with I have been getting for probably half the years I've lived here, probably at least 20 years, I automatically get an absentee ballot. So for the spring, pre-elections and then for the election. So
Ah,
I even took a picture at the front of my ballot before I mailed it at the Vatican.
ah.
So
So, and I just voted yesterday. So I'm going to proudly say I voted for Donald Trump. What
I
about you,
proudly
Joe?
I probably will say the same thing simply because if he wouldn't be your favorite best friend as a person, he should be your favorite person for what he's done for the country, for his
That's right.
pro-life stand, for his court nominations, for what he's
Mhm.
even done basically for the economy. He made a whole bunch of promises 4 years ago, and he's kept them. So
He's kept them. And that's, you know what
yeah,
I say, Father Frank and I say, Joan, we say it's not about his personality. We're voting for the policies of
yeah,
what he's done and what
oh
he
yeah,
will do.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Joan, I know it's evening over there in Rome. It's almost time for you to go sleep. So I
No,
want to thank you for joining us.
I gotta have a big glass of Cabernet first. It's late here.
Oh, yay.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
that glass of Cabernet. And I'll have you back again next month. I think our viewers would like maybe once a month from Joan from Rome, and you just give us the update of what's going on over there,
You
okay?
got it. You got it. And
Okay. God bless you.
thank you for that video. My mother signed her emails. God sit on your shoulder.
Well, my dear friend, arrivederci. Ciao for now.
Arrivederci. Ci vediamo.